In this video, we'll talk about estimating square roots, and we'll also kind of lead into why square roots of weird squares are irrational numbers. So let's jump right into it. Let's say we wanted to ask the question, what is the square root of 2? And remember, square root, I'm asking basically what number times itself is 2. And okay, I might not know what it is, but I do know that 1 squared is 1 and 2 squared is 4. So if I'm looking at a number line between 1 and 4, I know it's got to be somewhere in the middle. And that's the whole idea behind it. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to figure out kind of a list of what's close to it. So let's try and figure out a square root here. So the idea is we'll go through and we'll make a list. Let's try 1.1 squared and see where we land. And it looks like we get 1.21. Okay, not quite big enough to be 2. Okay, let's try 1.5 and square it. So 1.5 squared is 2.25. Too big. So then I know it's got to be between 1.1 and 1.5. Okay, well let's try 1.2. If we do that, we get 1.44. All right, so how about 1.3? Turns out it's 1.69. All right, how about 1.4 squared? So we take 1.4 times itself and see what we get. Looks like 1.96. Now, of the two of these, I'd say the 1.4 is the closest. But now we know it's between 1.4 and 1.5. So again, we're going to try it. We're going to make another list. So we know it's between 1.4 and 1.5. So what we can try and do is say, okay, what's 1.41? Because we were pretty close. Because 1.4 squared was 1.96 and 1.5 squared was 2.25. So I think it's going to be closer to the 1.4 than it is to the 1.5. So if I take 1.41 and square it, I'm going to get 1.9881. Okay, let's see if we can get a little closer. So 1.42 squared. We get 2.0164, meaning we're a little bit greater. So we know it has to be in between here even. So we're going to keep doing this process and keep going. And theoretically, we could keep doing this forever because we're never quite going to get to 2 with any terminating number that we know. And that's kind of what makes this difficult, and it's what makes it an irrational number. But you can estimate it very accurately to a few places. So as of right now, we can say the square root of 2 is roughly 1.41, and that's going to keep going. But this is our estimate to the hundredths place, 1.141, being as it's closer than the 1.42. Now I can keep going. I can go to the thousands. I can go to the 10,000. We can keep going as many places as we want. And your calculator is only good to so many digits. Even if you go to a calculator and throw it in, it'll only give you 8 digits or so. And then that's as good as it gets. So your calculator does exactly the same process. It just runs it out until it gets close enough to a solution. After it's got 8 places, it'll figure out that's the closest one.